with stories of people like my guy Sterling Hill. Sterling, what's going on, man?
What's up, you guys?
So Sterling Hill, director of Sunrun, sales director of Sunrun.
Sales director.
You're a direct-to-home sales master. You mastered the door knocking.
Hey, I don't know, man. I don't know if people call me that.
I think they do. You're born and raised in Salt Lake City, Utah. And you're a Utah State graduate. You worked for Vivint Alarm and then Vivint Solar, then Sunrun. You're into real estate, stock market, syndication investor, and also a venture capitalist. And all of this being 37 years young, huh?
There it is. That's right.
Man, where do we even start?
Hey,
Congratulations,
tell him
first
how
of all.
old you thought I was.
No.
He's like, damn, you're only 37?
Offline, he actually thought you were a little bit older than what he actually said.
So it wasn't.
It's even worse.
It wasn't because you look the age. I was just like, there's no way a guy this young has done all this.
So much, yeah. It was more of a compliment towards you, bro. So
Backtracking, man.
So how's everything going, man? How's everything doing?
Good, man. We're excited. This year's been awesome. Just an exciting time right now in solar industry in general. So I know you mentioned some of like the investments and stuff, and just super grateful just to be in this situation to be able to invest and make good choices with the money. And yeah, things are going good.
So you've always been a pretty smart guy with your money?
No, not always. Yeah, I've learned the hard way. I've definitely, I've made some bad moves, and I think like now I'm grateful for it. You know what I mean? Like just making mistakes when you're investing. I think you learn the hard way and you learn the lesson.
Yeah, that's what
I'm glad I did young. You know what I mean?
I was gonna say, right, because you have to learn from your bad investments, right? Not every investment could be a winner.
That's right.
So
yep.
Yeah, they do say it's good to fail early, right?
Yeah.
It's better to fail early, actually.
Yeah, and I think it just kind of taught me too, like when I first started investing, I was trying to like hit home runs. Like everyone hears about someone
like 100x or something.
Yeah, like someone,
something
or
crazy.
even just like 10x or 5x. Like you hear about these stories and you're like, I want that, right? So I'm gonna go. Oh, they did this. I'm gonna do that, without really thinking. Like more importantly, you should just try not to lose your money. That's to me, I think, is the most important thing. Is like be conservative, get an 8% return, a 9% return. Just don't lose your money. And you'll see like that power of compound interest over time. But if you lose the money, I mean, it doesn't.
Albert Einstein said it best, right? Compound interest is the eighth wonder of the world.
There it is.
My guy has all the little.
Hey, there it is. Right.
Well, I mean, but just to kind of touch on that really quick. So did you, like, as money was coming in, you were like, okay, like I really need to put this away and start saving it? Or were you always kind of like that? Like, that like financial guy that wanted to hit these investments and wanted to kind of invest your money?
Yeah, definitely like learned that from my parents. Yeah, first of all,
Awesome.
like, just growing up and seeing my dad invest, like I knew he had like stocks and I knew that he was, he would invest in things. And so even like at a young age, like in college, I was thinking about like investing in stocks, and my dad helped me kind of get started with that. And so I think that's where the mindset started, was probably like right out of high school.
Awesome.
Started thinking about investing.
So going back to high school and stuff like that, what kind of guy were you in high school, or how did you grow up? How was your family like? I mean, your parents, did you have a traditional family that
I grew up in Salt Lake City, Utah. So had a traditional family. I'm LDS Mormon. So, and we were I'd say pretty religious family growing up. And probably, I was always really curious. I was like kind of adventurous, I'd say, as a young kid. And I was your typical teenager. Like I made a lot of mistakes and like wasn't very religious actually in my teenage years. And so, I was definitely rebellious. So as a teenager, I was like
rebellious, or?
Like I was, probably Utah rebellious.
That's what I was gonna say. Are you talking like
PG-13?
Mormon rebellious.
Are you talking like Arvin Bakersfield rebellious?
No, yeah.
I mean, I feel like you kind of hear those stories a lot where it's like they, children grow up in like a very strict home, kind of makes them rebel. But, of course, they always kind of come back to that. But yeah, you kind of do hear those stories. But
yeah, I was the youngest of 5 kids. And so my parents were pretty relaxed by the time I came around.
I feel like I'm the same way. I'm also the youngest too, so I feel it.
Yeah, I think my parents were great though. Like absolutely love my mom and dad and my family. They let me fail. They let me like make bad choices and live with those consequences, and that was a really good thing for me. But yeah, I'd say I didn't really like, for example, in the LDS community, growing up, you can serve a mission for your church. And I really didn't have any plans or intentions to serve a mission in high school. Like I wasn't on that path. It wasn't until I got to college that I really started thinking about serving a mission and kind of deciding like, hey, I gotta, this is the decade of decisions. I gotta, decide what I want to do here. And so when I was at Utah State, my second half of that freshman year, that's when I like really started to kind of like become more religious and to like pray a lot and read the scriptures. And that's when I decided to serve a mission. I actually had a brother serving. He's a year and a half older than me. He was serving a mission in Uruguay. And he wrote me a letter that like kind of challenged me to figure out what I want to do with my life and kind of grow up. So that was like a turning point for me, for sure.
So speaking of your brothers, how are they? What do they do?
So I have one brother, three sisters. My brother is a doctor. He lives in northern Utah, and he's like incredible. He's like he graduated top of his class. He's an absolute stud. He does physical medicine and rehabilitation, and he specializes in like doing stem cell and like back surgeries. And yeah, so he's incredible. Love him. He's awesome. He has 5 girls.
Does it?
5 girls. Never got that boy.
Is he done? Is he still shooting for that boy?
He's done. But yeah, and then my 3 sisters. So, and yeah, all of them they're amazing. They'll have families and they're just incredible.
Everyone stayed in Utah?
No. So I have a sister that's in Idaho, and then the other 2 sisters, yeah, they're in Utah.
Gotcha. And your parents still around?
My parents are in Salt Lake. Yep.
How often do you go up there? It's not that far, right? It's like,
man, we used to go up, I'd say once or twice a year, but this last year we bought a house in St. George. St. George is on the southern side of Utah. And so now when we go to Utah, we go to St. George. And
they just meet there.
Our family will meet us there. It's kind of like a halfway meeting point.
It's only what, like 5 hours from Vegas?
It's only an hour and a half from Vegas.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
I mean Salt Lake. Salt Lake is like 5 hours.
Oh, yeah, yeah. Salt Lake is, yeah. Yep.
That's cool, man.
Yes, sir.
So did all your siblings also like serve a mission?
Just my brother.
Just your brother?
Yeah, just my brother.
So it was a choice, right? It was nothing like you kind of had to.
Yeah, so that's the thing with serving a mission is it's voluntary and you pay for your mission. So my parents actually paid for my mission, but either you or someone's got to pay for that experience. Roughly $4,000 or $5,000.
Now I know we talked about this yesterday offline, right? But I would like for the public to understand kind of how it works. You said it's kind of like a draft day in the NFL.
Yeah, yeah. So once you decide that you want to serve a mission, you send in your papers. So it's like all your information about who you are and everything.
A resume kind of thing.
Yeah, kind of like a resume, I guess. And then the church leadership, they take that and they make a decision. They open up your papers. They look at everything. And there's a picture that you have to send in of yourself. They take a look at your picture and they say, we're going to send Sterling Hills to the so-and-so mission. And keep in mind, there's like, I don't know, 600-700 missions in the world. And so you could go anywhere. You don't have any idea where you're headed. And so it's like draft day. You're like with your family.
Can you turn it down when you find out where you're going? Like, I know it's probably not ethical or nothing, but I'm saying
that's actually a good question. I don't think you can turn it. Like, I don't think you can be like, I don't want to go there. Let's submit again.
Yeah,
I don't think you have that option.
Gotcha.
Yeah. Yep. So it's either you go or you don't. But yeah, when I opened mine, I was with my friends and family, and it was a big deal. Like I remember being like so nervous seeing that manila envelope, and I'm like, where am I going? I could be going to freaking like Montana, Idaho. I don't have no idea.
How long after you get your paper do you take off? Or is it
Let's
different?
see. I got mine. It was about 3 months.
3 months.
Yeah. So I had about 3 months to prepare.
Did you have a girlfriend at the time?
Yeah, I did.
Did you get, what'd you say it's called? Dear John?
Dear John. So I actually made sure that when I left on my mission that it was kind of like, we're
broken up.
We're done. You know what I mean? Like, this is what I'm going to do. I'm going to focus on this. But yeah, there's like it's common in the LDS community. Like when you go on a mission, if you have a girlfriend, they call it, if you got Dear John, Because if you get a letter that's like, "Hey, dear John, I got married. I found someone else," it's like, so you can be on the mission, but yeah, so and so got dear John last week. That's why they've been down. Like, yeah.
So you said you went to Costa Rica, huh?
Yeah, I got called to Costa Rica, San Jose, Costa Rica mission. At the time, there was just one mission there. That was in 2005, 2007.
Yeah, that's cool.
2 years.
So like, is it typically out of the country, or there's also something you do in the States?
Yeah, it's I'd say 50-50.
50-50?
Mostly, like most of the time, missionaries come from that same country or around that country. Like a lot of my companions that I had on my mission were from Central America. So, but yeah, I was the only person in my little group that got sent to Costa Rica, because the first thing that happens when you get called is they send you to a training facility for 2 months, and then you're in a group of like, I don't know, 12 to 20 people. I was the only person in my group that got sent to Costa Rica. The rest of them were sent to like El Salvador and Chile. So yeah, it kind of felt special.
Yeah.
Like, I'm the only one. Crazy. Yeah, it was fun.
Yeah, that's cool, man. So one of the things that I did want to ask in regards to that, like, obviously the career path you took was door-to-door sales, right? And so you hear a lot of times that Mormon or LDS communities are always really good at that, because that's part of your mission, right? You're out there and you're preaching your guys'
Gospel.
Yeah. So you think at the time when you were on your mission, and anywhere in your mind did you think this is going to help me for my future career?
No, not at all. Yeah, I had no plans to like knock doors, not even in the slightest, right? First of all, I was 19, and so I kind of had no idea. I knew that after my mission that I was going to go to college, because I'd gone to Utah State for 1 year, and then I got called on my mission. And so, yeah, I knew I was going to go back to school, but I didn't know what I was going to do. But yeah, that's true. So a lot of like door knocking companies start in Utah, because you have these kids that have gone on a mission and for a couple of years have got comfortable just talking to strangers and knocking doors and having conversations. And so it's not, I mean, for those of you, for your listeners that are listening that have knocked doors, you know how uncomfortable it is, especially like starting out. And so for me, man, the mission was a life-changing experience, because for one, I had to learn Spanish. I didn't know Spanish.
So if we flip the switch and turn this to Spanish, you'll be able to do the whole podcast in Spanish.
I mean, we could try. It'd be like, with my gringo accent, we could absolutely do it in Spanish. Vamos pues.
Vamos pues.
No, but yeah, like I remember being so humbled like the first 3 months in Costa Rica, because I'm a young missionary. I'm excited to share the gospel. I'm excited to talk to people, but I can't communicate. You can kind of communicate because you have some words, but you don't really understand what people are saying, and you want to communicate. So it was really humbling. Like that was a hard time, really hard time looking back. Every morning I'd be like studying, practicing, and then, just trying to hang on to these conversations, understand what people were saying. I remember it was probably like 5 or 6 months into my mission. I remember the moment that I felt like I really finally could speak Spanish was when I think I was telling you this, when I had a dream in Spanish.
Oh, yeah.
I had a dream. I remember waking up and I was like so excited. I'm like, dude, I had a dream in Spanish. Like, they were talking Spanish and I was understanding what they were saying. Yeah. So, but yeah, the mission was an incredible like experience for me. It was a turning point for me for sure, because I didn't realize I'd have this career in door to door, but absolutely the skills I learned on my mission like helped me a ton. With what I'm doing right now.
So that leads on to the question that I was going to ask, was now at the time looking forward, you didn't really see that at all being helpful for your career, because, well, you didn't know what your career was going to be. But now looking back, how impactful was it?
Oh yeah, massive. Like not in so many ways too, right? Like with leadership, because on my mission, I had opportunities to help other missionaries and groups. Like you have districts and you have zones, and I was put into a leadership position in my mission where I could help other people and just learn skills that have really helped me in leadership now, like with what we're doing, with also just like habits. Because before my mission, I'd say I wasn't really a good student. Like I didn't consider myself someone that was smart, that like got good grades. On my mission, I would study for an hour every day. I would study the scriptures. I would study Spanish, like an hour of Spanish and an hour of the scriptures. And so I developed these really good habits. I was journaling every day. Like at nighttime, I would like recap what happened that day. And just started establishing like really good habits, exercising every day, going to bed early, like all this stuff. That,
It just stuck.
Yeah, it stuck. And so that like kind of just put me on a path of like just had these incredible habits that served me well after my mission.
Yeah, and that's probably the point of missions like that, right? Is to develop you
Yeah.
into being.
Yeah, because you're a kid, right? You're just like a college kid at that age. And when you get sent off on a mission, you can't like listen to music anymore. You don't watch TV. You can't like, you're not like just talking to like your girlfriend all the time. You don't even like, we didn't have a cell phone back then when I served a mission, but we would like write emails and letters home. That was how you communicated with people, was once a week. You'd have what's called a P day. It's like a day off. You'd go like do your laundry, your grocery shopping, you'd write home and like do your letters and all this stuff, like run all your errands, right? And so the communication was just like limited. Now, I think you can call home like once a week, but back then it was like you would only call home on Mother's Day and Christmas. That was the only time you talked to your parents. So it was this massive sacrifice for a 19-year-old kid, 20-year-old kid. It made me grow up and like, you know, even just taking care of myself with like going to the store, getting groceries, doing my own laundry, all that stuff. So yeah, it forced me to grow up at a young age.
Did you ever want to quit when you were there?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and you do have a lot of missionaries.
What's
not
the
a
closest
lot.
you got to it?
I mean, I was never close to quitting, but I just remember thinking like, this is hard. You know, I'm sacrificing my freaking life.
Yeah.
You have buddies back home and you're like, man, they're like living the dream and I'm over here. So yeah, you have those like thoughts and feelings. But I never came close to like leaving. I was pretty committed.
Yeah, so you came into it, you know, like what I think everyone can learn is that you just came into the opportunity with an open heart, right, open mind, and you know, obviously you learned a ton of you know, not only door locking skills, but I'm sure a lot about yourself. And what I wanted to follow up with that with you is, you said right away you kind of turned into that leadership role. So did you like learn that about yourself at an early age, or was it kind of when you were in that mission, you're like, okay, like this is what I'm comfortable doing? Like, are you just naturally into helping people?
Yeah, that's a good question. My mom always like growing up, she would always tell me like, you're the leader of your friends and like you need to be a good example because they're going to do what you do and like all this stuff. And so I kind of like grew up thinking that I was a leader, not really knowing like even what that was. But on my mission, yeah, I got put into my first like leadership position I got put into was I was like a branch president where I had like almost like you could be like a pastor over like 100 people. I was like that on my mission for a group of people in Costa Rica. And at the same time, I was training a brand new missionary. And so that was kind of the first time I got put into a leadership role. And then after that, it just like continued. I had a couple other opportunities for leadership roles. And but yeah, I like learning from other missionaries really helped me. Like I saw people that were successful that had good leadership, and I was like, I want to do that. I want to be like that person. So,
But that's also something that you're probably born with, right? Like you mentioned how you said your mom told you that at a very young age, but then you go to a mission and you become some type of leader there, and then you come back, you go to college, and then you've been a leader for a good amount of time now in what you do for a living. So, you think that's something you developed just because it happened, or that's just something that someone's born with?
yeah, a combination, right? I think people are definitely born with like leadership skills. They have natural leadership abilities, but over time, like experience is the biggest teacher for leadership. And so, yeah, I consider myself super blessed to have been around really good leaders. Like in my career, I've been with Sunrun for 10 years. And when I first came to Bakersfield, I was a sales rep. I wasn't in a leadership position. And then I was promoted, I think 8 or 9 months after I had started to become a manager. And that's like that right from that point moving forward, I had just really good leaders and examples above me that I could like look to and learn from. And that's blessed me a ton.
Yeah. So we'll talk about all of your accomplishments in your career. We're going to move on to college, but before that, I want to ask a question. So as a sales rep, what was your highest performing month before you became quarter? I'm sorry.
Are you talking like
Sales, what, or like
numbers? Like installs?
yeah.
That my highest month
Yeah.
that I ever
I
had.
mean, or quarter. We do about quarters.
Highest quarter was 38 installs.
As a rep.
Yeah.
Well, see, that's
Yeah.
impressive.
Yeah.
then you wonder why they make you a leader with the name, as you said.
Yeah, I was the top rep at the time. I was top rep in the office. And,
How many reps were here at the time?
we had somewhere between 10 and 15. It was
Okay.
a smaller group at the time. Yeah, we had one manager. His name was Jacob Gregory. Great guy. He was managing the team, and there were some changes made where he was let go, and I was just the top producing rep at the time, and I had a couple of recruits and stuff. So.
And what was the competition like at the time? You know how right now we got like 54 or something like that, right? There's
yeah.
like 54 solar companies in Bakersfield.
It was different. Yeah, there was no there.
54 companies?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. I thought you were talking about 54 reps. So
No. Well,
companies. Wow.
Yeah, there's a lot of companies. We had probably two or three other companies.
but then the sale was a lot harder at that time too. It was
sale
like,
was harder.
what's solar, right?
Yeah.
So we'll get back onto that. I do want to obviously not forget that your growing up played a humongous role in now, right? And I think that's for many people. Growing up can either make you or break you. But now going into college, right? You came back from your mission, and you decided to go back to college. Now you mentioned that you graduated in sales marketing. I believe you said
Business marketing.
business marketing. During college, you play any sports?
No. Yeah, I thought about walking on to the football team at Utah State. I played football in high school. I mean, I was decent. I wasn't like, top guy or anything like that. But I love sports.
Quarterback?
Like, always. No, I was wide receiver. Yeah, I've always loved sports, like anything. Like in college, it was like we joke because we play intramural.
Yeah.
We were like intramural champs. But I'm all about sports. Like
So you didn't end up playing?
didn't play in college. Yeah, no.
So no sports. How about parties? How was the party life in Utah?
At Utah State, hey, they have a party that's like known for. It's a Halloween party. It's called the Howl. Anyone in
Howl.
Utah, like everyone in Utah knows about the Howl. It's like that's the party, Halloween party. That's what Utah State's known for as far as parties.
He didn't want to answer the question.
Yeah.
Like, did you go to parties? Like, well, there's a party.
I've been to a lot of parties, man. I was in college. Come on.
No, yeah. So, but is that anywhere like frowned upon with like you came back from your mission and you're like this, whole new person, and then did it at all kind of derail you from like what you served the mission for in a sense?
No, yeah. Coming back from my mission, I'd grown up a lot. Like I was still a college kid, but I had grown up a lot.
You were 21 at that
I
time.
was 21, yeah, almost 22. When I went on my mission, I was almost 20 years old. So, yeah, I grew up. It wasn't like I wasn't that same rebellious, like wild kid coming back after my mission. Yeah, it was a different story.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like those 2 years with just that experience alone, going to a different country, kind of isolating yourself, and just I feel like really getting to know yourself a lot more. That will definitely put you years ahead of any other 19-year-old, right? Any other 20-year-old.
I remember my dad telling me, it's either my dad or my mom, but they were talking about how in your 20s it's like the decade of decisions, and there's a lot of decisions that you're going to make in that decade that are going to set the foundation for your life. And so no pressure or anything, but like don't make good choices, obviously, because depending on what you decide to do in your 20s could really determine the direction of life you're going to have.
Definitely.
So I still have a chance to turn it around.
Still got a chance. You're just a young buck, man.
Yeah, no, it sounds like your parents were very inspirational to your life, right? Like they were a huge role in kind of directing you the way in the good way right now, because it can also be a bad thing for other people. That's why I like to emphasize it. What did your dad do for a living?
Yeah, so growing up, my dad had his own roofing business, and so as a young kid, he would take me and my brother along with him, and he'd like let us do little stuff on the job to help him out. And then later on after, so I think he had his roofing business for like 12, 13 years. And then he started a construction company after that with one of his friends, and he's had that ever since. So I think he's been in the construction industry for about 20 years now. Yeah.
It's cool, man. So you said you graduated in business marketing, and did you work in that atmosphere at all?
No. So in college, the first job I got was right after my mission. there, like, especially in Utah, there's a lot of like summer sales programs. And so I was at Utah State, and I remember I was like walking home after class, and this kid had rolled up in a Hummer and was like, "Hey, do you need a ride home? I noticed you're just walking." And I'm like, what the hell is going on
Recruiting
right now?
101.
Like, who in college has a Hummer? This was back when Hummers were
Yeah,
really
yeah,
cool,
yeah.
right?
Yeah.
I was like, yeah, I'll take a ride. So I hop in the car, and he starts telling me about summer sales, about how you can sell alarm systems and, you know, make money, and how he made like 50 grand or whatever the summer before. And that's how he has this car. And that kind of caught my interest. I've always been like ambitious, and I've always known that I wanted to earn money. And so I ended up going to this meeting and learning about summer sales. And that summer, after that was my first summer of selling alarm systems for a company called Stone Alarm. So Stone Alarm was just a smaller like company in Utah. And we ended up going to Washington and I had like several of my buddies, and there was probably 20, 25 kids that went, had a successful year. And then after that summer, we kind of like started to learn the game of like, all right, maybe we should go to a different company and get like a sign-on bonus and get like a better pay scale and all that stuff. And so, you know, the next summer we ended up going with, at the time it was Apex Alarms, and then, which is Vivint Alarms. A lot of people know Vivint. My first summer was with Apex, and then it was the next year that they transitioned their name from Apex to Vivint.
How I don't know about now, but at the time, or you might know about now too, but how lucrative was alarm sales?
Yeah, my first summer, I think I sold 100 accounts my first summer, and I ended up coming home a little early because I was dating my wife at the time. And so, yeah, ended up like bailing a little early on that. But I think that first summer I felt like I was rich. I'd made like $35,000 in the summer, and I was like, I'm rich. I got all this money. But yeah, I'd say, yeah, summer sales was all about like, you know, trying to make like $50,000 in the summer, and then you don't have to work during the school year.
Yeah.
That was definitely like a movement that was happening. A lot of people were having success.
What can you pay for college and get a Hummer with 25,000 at the time?
Right? Yes.
Yeah,
Exactly. Duh. Why wouldn't you do that? I want a Hummer.
What year was this? Whenever you were first starting to sell alarms?
First summer was 2008.
2008.
Yeah, 2008.
Right around the crash.
Yeah, and I remember that was a thing. Like, I remember everyone was like, "Oh, this year's going to be hard to sell. Like, people's credit scores are down." Like that, we were all concerned about that. And I sold in Seattle that summer. That was my first summer, and I had several friends that went with me that ended up leaving. It didn't work out. They were selling for like a month and a half, 2 months, and didn't make enough money to justify staying out. So they ended up leaving. But those of us that stayed, yeah, it was very lucrative.
Now, just in sales in general, more than anything, D2H, right, or door to door sales in general. Why do you think it is that people fail? I mean, like, you know,
Yeah.
we're doing the same thing.
The biggest thing is just commitment. Like, I've been around long enough to see everyone, like, from every industry come on and have success. And the biggest thing is, like, can you stay with it? Can you stick to your commitment? Because jumping ship from your other job to something like direct sales or pure commission or anything like that, it takes a ton of courage. But you have to understand it's not just all going to be like rainbows and roses right away. You have to understand there's going to be a learning curve for some time. And if you're not committed to be like, look, no matter what, good or bad, I'm gonna see this through for 6 months. That to me is the biggest indicator of someone having success. Like, you got to really commit to it. You got to go all in. So if you can do that for, in my opinion, 6 months, you'll be fine. But you'll see people, you know, the whole saying 3 feet from gold. Like, you know, if you're trying to find gold and you're digging, you stop. The next person coming in, right, that's your area, for example, if you're talking about knocking doors, might reap all of the benefits that you like started.
You've already sowed, yeah.
Yeah, you started all these conversations and people were interested, but then you quit. And you didn't actually reap the reward of your work.
Now, I assume when you were doing alarm, it's very similar to now doing solar, right? In the regards to knocking and
Sure.
converting and stuff. But so the thing is that you can do something for 6 months, but you got to do it right. You got to put in time and effort. People will stick around the company for 6 months. It doesn't mean you're working for 6 months.
Yeah,
right.
absolutely.
So like that's the thing that we see many people come try new ventures and leave their 9 to 5 or whatever the case may be. And because obviously sales and commissions job are a lot more lucrative than it is to work for a company most times, right?
Yeah.
And so they'll come and they can either get intimidated or inspired, right, by someone that's putting up numbers. But the most of the people that I've seen fail at the job, they come and they see somebody's numbers and want the same numbers without putting
Yeah.
out the same amount of effort, right?
Yes.
So 6 months can be 6 months of nothing also, right? And I think that's kind of what I've seen in the little time that I've been doing it now. I mean, you've been around, you said Sunrun 10 years, and then you did Vivint for how long?
3.
3. So you've been around for a long time in sales in general, but I think direct to home or door to door sales is a whole different beast than just sales. And so in your experience, like, what is it that person that is leading by far, or that's like staying consistent? Because, you know, you can come and in 1 or 2 summers sell 100 accounts, right, or whatever. But then there's a guy that stays for 10 years and does, you know, 500 or whatever.
Yeah.
I think the guy that stayed for 10 years and was consistent ended up making more money than you made in those 2 years, right?
Right.
So what do you think it is that like that person has the edge to keep going, or are they just luckier? What is it?
Yeah, definitely not luckier. It's I think it's vision. Like, I think you just have to know what you're doing, like where you want to be. I think a lot of people maybe think, like, you know, 1 year out, maybe, like that might be like their long-term thinking. But when you get someone that really understands, like, okay, 5 years, 10 years, 15 years, 20 years, where do I want to be in my life? You get someone that thinks like that, then it's really powerful, because when you're dealing with obstacles, trials, setbacks, it's all small ball stuff if you're thinking long term, right? And so, you know, if you look at the opposite, someone that's like, we'll see how this goes. I'm going to be here for a month. We'll see how it goes. And then they have like something that goes wrong, it derails them, takes them off track. So I think vision is massive. I think if you have someone that's committed to something long term, that has that long term vision, it's just going to serve them well.
Yeah, so I think common attributes that you said in successful people are people who outlast everybody else, right, and have that vision. So, you know, because I feel like I'm kind of in that position to where, you know, I'm only like 3 months in it. So I kind of know that I need to be in this game long enough to, you know, even see some slight of success and, you know, really just overcome any obstacles that come my way. But yeah, I think that's important for a lot of people to know, especially if they want to get into, you know, any new venture.
And also I'll actually say the exact same thing for like investing. I know we're going to get into this, but like really like creating wealth takes a long time. It's not going to happen. There's no like get rich quick. I mean, every now and then you get someone that gets lucky, but like when you look at people that really have like, they've developed wealth, it's a consistent effort over time. It's not something that just like, hey, I'd made 3, 4, 5 good investments, now I'm done. No, this is something that you're going to work at for a long time if you really want to accumulate wealth. But I think the same goes for like your career. Like you have to like recognize I got to be consistent and committed to the long term if you want to be successful.
Yeah, for sure. So, you know, that being said, now we kind of stopped from where you were at Apex, and then it eventually turned into Vivint Vivint Alarm, right?
Yep.
And you said you did that for about 3 years. Mm-hmm. At what point was the transition to Vivint Solar?
Yeah, so I got married in 2009. So we did one summer after I got married, and then I graduated after that summer. So I graduated in 2010.
You were young. You got married young.
Yeah, I was young. I was 23. I was almost 24 when I got married. Yeah. So we ended up, after that last summer, we moved from Logan, Utah. We were living in Logan, Utah. We moved to Salt Lake, and my wife and I bought our first house. We bought a house in Draper, Utah, and it was like a little townhome. And I remember I took a job. This is like the first time I took a salary job. I took a job at Groove Satellite.
Groove Satellite.
Shout out to Groove. So Groove Satellite. So I ran sales teams. We had 2 sales teams at the time, and we ended up like recruiting another team. One of the teams was in Colorado, one was in Utah, and then we had a team that we grew in Indiana. And so I remember taking that job. I took that job before our daughter was born. And I remember thinking I needed health insurance just to be safe. And that was like the big thing. Cause it wasn't, I was like making good. I'd made 6 figures before taking this job, and the salary was like, 40 grand or something. And I was like, oh man, but I have health insurance. So I can take this. But then there was the opportunity to earn commission and stuff with, with overrides and stuff. But anyway, so I remember starting there. Our daughter was born. It was a good thing we did have health insurance because she had a couple of like complications. She ended up being in the NICU for several days.
Okay.
But I remember being like kind of bored with the job. And at the time I was working with Ryan Tall. You may have heard that name. He's a sales director in Florida for Sunrun. And I was working with him at Groove Satellite, and we ended up starting a satellite business. So we both left Groove and we partnered with another guy, and we were running a satellite, same thing, had like 3 offices. And Ryan was like, he was just like me. We kind of had that entrepreneur like spirit, and he was always looking for that next opportunity. And he had a connection with someone that was that had like there was a new company starting that was selling these hydration backpacks. It was called Geiger Rig. And Ryan had like the inside.
Oh, is that why you guys brought that up one time about the backpacks at the mall?
Yeah, so they were like hydration backpacks. And he's like, hey, I think we can make a lot of money. I'm like, well, let's try it out. So we ended up like, investing like 10 grand, and we got like a kiosk at the mall, and we hired people to sell these backpacks. And it was around Christmas time, and ski season was picking up in Utah. And so anyway, started selling these bags, and it came with like a ski pass. That was like the selling point. It's like, if you bought the bag, you get a ski pass. So anyway, long story short, we ended up like pretty much either losing money or barely breaking even on this, but it was a good experience because it was like the whole, hey, you got to do sales licensing, payroll, all this stuff, the banks, like set up your employees. And so it was good to kind of learn that process. After that, I actually got my insurance license. I started selling whole life insurance as like an investment vehicle. So I was selling like IULs and stuff like that. We were converting a lot of like 401ks to IULs. And I did that. That was a quick stint, maybe 3-4 months. And then that's when I started talking with my friend who was in Hawaii. He was selling solar at the time, Jeff Sorensen. And I remember him telling me like what he was making, and I was like blown away.
Is that where you met Jeff? Jeff?
No, Jeff Galvin I met here.
Oh, because I thought he was in Hawaii for a while.
Yeah, and I knew Jeff from Alarm Days. He's an OG, so I'd known him from back then. But Jeff Sorensen was a friend selling in Hawaii, and so I had like all these random ventures going on in Salt Lake, and like I was making good money. We were happy. We had a brand new house, all this stuff. But when I heard how much he was making, it like caught my attention. I was like, whoa.
Was it the same as now or better?
No,
worse?
It was not even, no, way worse. Yeah. He was making like 250 grand a year.
But he must have been selling a lot.
He was selling a lot. Yeah. It was like, at the time I was like, dang, if I could make 200 grand a year, I would be freaking balling.
I'm done.
I would be so stoked. So I went out to Hawaii, and I was like, if nothing else, we'll just turn this into a little vacation, So Aaron and I went out there, and I remember selling solar. I went out with Zach Latimer the first time and like got my butt kicked. I didn't sell anything. I was like in this city called Mililani. It's kind of in the center of Oahu, and just it was a hard neighborhood, like just a tough time. And then later, I was there 2 weeks. My second week, I caught momentum. I remember I was like kind of selling, kind of just like hanging out at the beach. So every day I was out for a few hours, but I ended up selling 3 accounts, and one of them was a really good account. That ended up being my first install ever, was out there in Hawaii. So, but that experience kind of let me like see how selling solar was so much different than selling alarms, because it was free. Everyone's paying for electricity. This is just a cheaper option.
Did PPAs already exist
It was a PPA. Yeah. And so I was so excited because I was like, I was not, I mean, I sold alarms. I was good, but I wasn't the best. I was never like in the top 5% in selling alarms. I was maybe top 20%, right? I was good, but I wasn't like making a lot of noise. I always had a hard time selling alarm, like pushing something that I felt like people didn't really need.
Yeah.
And so solar, when I started selling solar, I was like, whoa, this is like refreshing. This is something that I can get behind and that I can really believe in like selling. And that made a difference for me, was just getting behind the product. Like, because people can feel it. Like if you believe what you're doing, you honestly think you're helping someone, they can feel that. And that to me was like I was
That's
so much.
huge.
Yeah,
That's huge, right? I've always thought that. So I ran into a friend that he might listen to this and be like, "Hey, I don't know it impacted you, right?" But I ran into a friend at a restaurant one day. He's like, "Hey, you're still doing the solar thing?" And I was like, "Yeah." And he's like, "Dude, I don't know how you can screw people over like that." And I was like, "What are you talking about?" He's like, "Yeah, you're giving them this 25-year commitment where they're gonna pay power, this and this." And I look at him, I was like, "Bro, how is that screwing them over? Like they're already paying power." And we got into a little conversation.
Yeah.
And then at the end, he just looks at me. He's like, "I never thought about it that way." Mm-hmm. And I was like, "Well, I believe in what I sell, dude. Like I for one, I have it at my own home.
Yeah.
And for two, I believe in it. Like how am I am not in any aspect screwing people over. If I was, I don't think I'd be able to sell as good as I do.
Right.
Right. Because I actually believe in what I sell. And hence to why he probably never succeeded in it. Because he thought,
Yeah,
well, I'm screwing everybody over.
Yeah.
So I totally agree with you have to believe and understand what you're selling.
Yeah, and you'll be tested at times, right? You'll have that like belief tested. But yeah, you can, I don't know who said this quote, but you can make a hell of heaven, or you can make a heaven of hell. So whatever your circumstances are, you can make the best of it or the worst
Perspective.
of it. It's all perspective and what your thought process is. But me, I'm like so grateful to sell solar. I think it's an incredible product. It's such an obvious solution to people. And I think it's, the industry speaks for itself, right? Like the market adaptation is crazy.
Yeah. Before we go running away and just, dive deep into solar, I kind of want to go on that point because we just talked about, seeing the vision and like, staying in something for so long to see your success. So with life insurance, that was very cut short. You said it had a very short term.
Yeah.
But why was it? Because you didn't see the vision. You just couldn't get back behind the idea of it.
No, yeah, I'd say just the timing of like, I had a few things going on at that time. Like I had the insurance thing, I had the satellite company we were running.
The backpack.
Well, the backpack at that point was done. Backpacks were over. That's a great life lesson right there. No, but I'd say it wasn't that it wasn't working out great. It's just that that's when I found solar, and I just kind of knew like the solar opportunity was going to be big. I remember feeling like, if it doesn't work out, I could always go back. I have my insurance license, and I could, if I wanted to keep selling it, I could. But like I set, people up with these policies, and I was kind of like in that learning curve still.
Okay.
But I just felt like solar was going to be the next big thing. So
yeah, Edgar and I talk about it all the time. Like if you see another opportunity, go ahead and grab it, right? Grab it by the horns and just write it out. Not because, obviously I'm in real estate, but, just in life in general.
Yeah.
If you see something else that maybe you think you can get behind and that you can be successful, we'll do it, right?
Yeah, there's so many ways to make money. I think a lot of times we sell ourselves short just out of fear, right? That fear of like, well, what if I don't have a safety net? What if I don't have that, that typical 9-to-5 money that's coming in? You have to break that mentality and like take that leap of faith. But I mean, yeah, I just
gotta break it and make it, right?
You gotta break it and make it, baby. Shout out to break it and make
drop
it.
a bar really quick. Drop a little, there we go.
Boom.
No, yeah. So that is something that we've always talked about. Where I'm very different than those that get very what would be the appropriate word? I'm trying not to cuss today, sir. I cuss a lot on here, and I'm trying not.
Hey,
to.
man, this is your show.
Your show.
Your show, man.
No. So there's those people that get into a venture and they're like,
I have tunnel vision, pretty much.
yeah,
It's just
like,
that, right?
and which is not a bad thing, right?
good
It's
and
like
bad.
the blinders that they put on horses. They want
Yeah.
people to just stay on their tracks,
Yep.
right? Which is not a bad thing. But I'm a little bit different. So I got tunnel vision for success. You get me? I'm trying to be successful. I don't care what route it takes to get there.
Yeah.
But I want to be successful. So I jumped into lending, and I've done sales my whole life. So I did car sales. I sold gravel. I sold asphalt. I did lending, and now I'm doing solar. So it's safe to say I'm a salesperson.
Yeah,
right?
yeah. A few different industries.
Yeah. So what I'm trying to get at though is that like it's always been that level up, right? So like I did this and this was the income. I got presented an opportunity where obviously I'm not gonna jump around and like okay, you said it, so I'm gonna jump on it. You kind of have to like do your due diligence and figure out, okay, is it what they're preaching, right? Because I think that's huge. People go around preaching, come, like, you know, like there's people that go and drive a Lambo somewhere and be like, this is what I do, come join me. And then it's just a tactic to try to get more people on your team and, you know,
Yeah.
raise to the top, whatever. So you obviously have to do some research and to figure out what you're gonna do. But at the end of the day, we're all just trying to make it, right? We're all just trying to make it, and whatever route it takes you to make it, then cool, so be it. But I think one thing that's very safe to say is that going from a salary job or a 9 to 5 to entrepreneurship or to a fully commissioned job, I think it's very safe to say that it's very, very, very different income, right?
Absolutely. I mean, we've seen so many people make that jump, and especially this year, like we have guys on our team like Carlos and John Serrato who have done that, who've quit their jobs and come on full time. And I mean, I don't know if it's 5, 6, 7x, 8, 9x their income.
And these guys had really good positions where they were,
really
right?
good position. I mean, Carlos was managing Tahoe Joe's for the last 10 years.
And then John was a CEO or something like that.
Yeah, John was CEO. Yep. I mean, both in really good positions, making really good money. And it was hard for them. It was really hard for them to make that choice, but it was the right choice. And
Clearly.
especially like looking back, you're like, wow, that was massive, right? And so, but we see that all the time. Like there's other examples on our team of people that have quit their jobs. And
Juice.
yeah, exactly. And it's worked out great. Yeah, Justo's a great example of that too.
Yeah. So, that being said, now what's the in your vision? I clearly know what you're doing. You're director of sales for Sunrun, so that clearly means something, right?
Clearly.
No, I mean you don't get there. You don't get there by coincidence or by luck, right?
Sure.
So, what do you think the longevity of the business is?
Yeah, the future is looking really bright. Yeah, I think we like Sunrun specifically. Since I've been with Sunrun, there hasn't been a quarter that we've actually showed profitability yet. And so the way like solar works and the industry works, it's really capital intensive, and so it requires a ton of cash, to get solar panels and everything. And so we're finally at that point, and you'll see this in other industries. You'll see this where it's like you're building, and then boom, finally you can show some profitability. Sunrun happens to be in that position right now. And so position wise, like in the industry, Sunrun is really strong. And I can't like say a whole lot of details, right?
Yeah.
But I'm like, yeah, super bullish and excited about the future of Sunrun. I think that we're in a really, really good spot.
Now, for someone that's trying to make a career change or just even hear you out as to why it's the place to be. One of the biggest rumors out there, and it's for people in and people out of the industry, have either people that do or don't know anything about solar or the industry. It's the 5 to 10 years and it's going to end, and there's going to be no more solar sales and you're not going to make any more money.
Yeah.
What's your take on that?
Yeah. What's interesting is this is a place where you can buy back time. So some people that think like that maybe don't realize that in 5 to 10 years, you could be done. I mean, I tell people this all the time. Sunrun should be the last place you ever work. If you play your cards right and you take advantage of this opportunity, this should be the last place you ever have to work, because it's a place where you can become financially free. You can become financially independent in 5 to 10 years. That's crazy. Like, you think about that. Typically I'd say people plan on working until they're 65, 70 years old, right? And so that's why that comment comes up is, well, I don't want to have to be like stuck in the water. Now I got to start over somewhere else, right? This is a place where you can buy back time. You can come work hard, earn money, be smart with your money, make good investments to where you can financially retire yourself. Imagine that. Like, imagine in 5 to 10 years, not having to like go trade your time for money. Do whatever you want. You want to coach your kids' football team or whatever. Like you have the time now.
Has Juice told you what he wants to do?
No, tell me.
He said whenever Sunrun goes to shit, as everyone says, right? Quote unquote, what people are saying, he's gonna go be the stop sign guy at his
I
kid's
love
school.
it.
He said like that's
The guy that's just
he just hey across people. He's like that's what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna be the crosswalk guy.
Yeah, like honestly, that concept of like whatever you want to do, whatever makes you happy, like this is the place where you can go work hard, earn money, and then like right off into the sunset. That like to me, there's just not a lot of opportunities that that's real with, and I've seen just so many people at Sunrun do that 5-10 years, financially retired themselves where they're financially independent. It's really exciting.
So what's the average commission for a new rep right now?
Yeah, the commissions are the same for everybody, whether you've been here for 5 years.
No. But I mean, like, what does a first year rep
Yep.
Average make a year? Do you know?
Average first year rep at Sunrun.
Yeah.
I should know this exactly, but we have a call every Friday where Mike Brand reviews this. Average first year rep, it's around 6 figures. I want to say it's like 120 grand is your average first rep commission. And then if you're in the top 25%, it goes up from there. So it's something like that. It's like maybe it's 97,000 for your first year rep, and then if you're in the top 25%, it's like 147,000 or something like that, somewhere around there.
Yeah. So safe to say, making 100 grand is pretty easy if you're just working.
Yeah. If no sales experience, that's not like the thing that makes people successful. It's just, can you work hard and stay with it consistently? If you can do that, then you should expect to make 6 figures your first year.
Yeah, we hear all these stories from the people at the office that are like, "Hey, dude, I was just walking down the street and some guy came up to me and was like, hey, I see you every freaking day. What are you doing here?"
Yeah.
"Oh, why is that solar? All right, come to my house." You know?
Yeah.
I mean, that's luck. You're not gonna really get those very often.
Yeah, we have a couple of recruits right now that's how they heard about us.
Yeah. So it's just being consistent, right? Being consistent over time, it all pays off. I had this conversation with one of the guys that just left, right? They were like, you know what, it's taking too long to see income, it's 3-4 months and I don't see very much. But he had a few in the pipeline. So I was like, dude, give it a month one more month and you're going to get paid for all your other ones. And now you'll make what you have made in a year somewhere else,
Yeah, you have to be patient. Yep.
But like you said, it's just a vision. You don't think long run. You just think I need to make quick money fast now. And I want to see it within 30 days. Because that's a big question for people that are going to come onto the business. I don't know if they ask you this, but they ask me whenever I'm talking to them about coming on, is they'll be like, how soon can I make money?
Yeah, it's like a big one.
Yeah, like that can't really. I mean, I get the question because we all have expenses and overhead and stuff like that. But I mean, if that's your first question when seeing and hearing this opportunity, it just might not be the place for you, right?
No, honestly, that's like, when people ask that, I'm like, well, could you survive without money for 3 months? Because if you can't, this maybe isn't the right time, for you, because you have to have some financial stability coming into this. Because it's really, this job is any job that's pure commission is going to be hard if you're under financial stress. That's going to show, and then it's like it can spiral and it just becomes harder and harder when someone cancels. And so that's something that we bring up like in the interview process. We'll actually like talk about that. What's your financial situation? Would you stay with us if you didn't get a paycheck for a month or whatever, right? So
okay, so there's actually a interview process to join the team.
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah, we have a couple of interviews. Onboarding process. Just depending. So Amber is like the big recruiter for us. She'll bring in a ton of recruits. We probably interview 3 to 4 people every week right now. Outside of like, someone bringing in their buddy or whatever at the office. Yeah. So
now, what's the advantage of coming to Sunrun versus the other 54 companies in Bakersfield?
Oh man, yeah. So big one. I'll start with the big one. Equity. Yeah, this is a place where you can come and earn equity in the business, and it's not just any business. It's the biggest solar company in the industry, and so any chance you have to earn equity, you just don't know what that could do for you in the future. You hear about people becoming quite wealthy when they work for a business, their stock pops. And so, if you're a brand new rep and you come on and you work consistently, you can earn stock right away in the company. And it's not like one of those, hey, if we go public or if we sell our business, it's like, this is a publicly traded company. These are real stock units.
That's what I was going to ask. So I've heard, there's two sides to every coin, right? And so some of the stuff of that, and if you don't mind talking about your experience, you said you had a few years ago when you got kind of paid out or something like that, right?
Oh, sure.
Okay. The reason that I bring that up is because I've heard in other interviews in other places where they say, well, that's all BS. Like they just tell you you're going to have performance stocks and whatever. But then, you know, when you retire or you want to cash out, they don't give you anything or whatever.
Yeah.
You had an experience where you actually got cashed out, right?
Oh, yeah. Yeah. So when I started, the company wasn't public. And so they had this long-term incentive plan where you could earn equity that if the company went public, it could vest as long as the company that bought you, or if you're publicly traded, if you sold to another entity or business, then you could cash out your money. And so we went public in 2014. So it was 2 years after I started, or a year and a half after I started. And then for the longest time, we were just waiting because, you know, the company had to sell 250 million shares or whatever to be able to like get your money. And so then when Sunrun bought Vivint in 2020, everything vested. And so that's when we were paid out. So that was incredible. Just because it was something that we had talked about for so long. And like you said, like you hear a lot of, you know, companies that say, hey, you're going to get this and that, and it doesn't actually happen. This was massive. Like everyone who had been part of Vivint Solar from the early days, you know, they got $500,000 to $1 million payouts all across the board. It was pretty awesome. It was amazing. The equity plan they have today, in my opinion, is like 2 or 3 times as valuable as that plan was. Like if you look at the details on how you can earn equity now, it's phenomenal. It's crazy. Like in 1 year, what you can earn in equity it's just really exciting.
Well, it's crazy that you can do it by just installing 10 a quarter.
Just doing your job.
Yeah.
Like one a week.
Yeah, like literally
One a week.
Literally what we've got when we go back and do the backwards math, it's like that's
is nuts.
all I have to do to get
Yeah, if you
this,
look at
that, and that, and that.
if you really want to hustle and you do 2 or 3 deals a week, it's pretty incredible.
If you're closing one deal a week, you know, we don't got to talk about cancels and blah, blah, blah. Just if you're closing one deal every single week, what do you think a rep is making?
$300,000
By closing one deal a week?
Yeah, $350,000, and that's not counting equity.
Yeah. And then the equity is going to grow. And, you know, that's a whole different conversation, right?
It's exciting, man. It's like you'll see a first year rep come on and work hard and make a couple $100,000. That same rep, the second year, more times than not, will double their income. It's crazy. Year 1 to year 2, you see it all the time. It doubles. Like we have guys in our office right now, doubled their income. Same thing from year 2 to 3. It keeps growing. Like that's a trend that you'll see in the industry is the longer you stay, the better you get at the job and the higher your earnings become. And same thing with equity. So
now for people with dreams of becoming leaders or becoming sales managers and stuff like that, you guys hire within, right?
Yeah.
So whenever there's a promotion coming up, you don't go hire someone that doesn't already work there.
yeah, especially here, like in Bakersfield, all of our leadership promotions come from within. So I mean, we just have it's all organic at this point. We have a lot of good talent on our team. Even right now, there's people on our team right now that are not necessarily in a leadership position that will be, you know. And so it's a very exciting time. Leadership, it's all about just influence over volume. You know, if you can help influence volume and you can help other people, you can train other people, I mean, you're going to be a leader. It's not if, but when.
Yeah, and then volume inspires influence, right? So
Yeah.
is that how the saying goes?
Yeah, and for us, like a big part of our culture is just leading from the front. So when you're in a leadership position in Sunrun, you're not just like sitting back chilling. Like you got to. He's like, never mind.
There goes the other application.
You know that application I submitted? You can just go ahead and
Just
throw it away.
rip it up.
Yeah, throw it away.
But yeah, it's like you got to be out there leading from the front, selling and showing people how to do it, not just telling people how to do it. And I love that about this culture. It's refreshing when you see your manager out there hustling. You know what I mean, making sales and when they don't have to. When you know financially they're in a good position, but they're still working hard. That's just it's a good thing to see.
We see, and on that same topic, I think again it's 100% on perspective, right? Like you hear of these salespeople that they see, you know, a room full of salespeople that are doing 10, 15, 20 sales a quarter, you know, more 30.
Yeah.
And you're at 2. They're like, man, this is intimidating. I'm gonna go ahead and take off. And then there's this other that are like, damn, I'm falling behind. I got to get on it. And then that levels you up, right? I've always said one huge thing about life is if you're the top performer in your room, you got to find a different room, right? Because if you got to go find a room where there's better performers than you so you can keep being better, right? So I think we ran into that a lot. In the little time that I've been there, I've seen that happen way too many times where people just give up because they feel intimidated. Like, don't be intimidated, be inspired, right? Like, these people are human beings just like you. And you have full capacity of accomplishing anything that you can do, right?
Yeah.
I can do anything you can do. Some people are obviously naturally more talented, but that just means I got to work a little harder, right, to get on your level. So, you know, that I think most of the time when people fail in sales, it's just because they gave up a little too early.
Yeah, and it's perspective, like you said. It's like, you know, some people are hard on themselves, and they'll see others around them having success, and that hurts them. It should never hurt you. Like, you're your own person. You have your own situation, your own stuff going on, right? That's when it's important to be like, look internal. Don't worry about like the whole comparison thing is
Yeah,
terrible.
what was the thing you said last time? Comparison is what?
It's a thief of joy. Yeah.
Comparison is the thief of joy, and that's true. Like you've got to like understand that other people are in a whole different situation. You know, if you're comparing yourself to Justo Flores, he's been here for 6 years. Like, you can't do that, right? But at the same time, like you said earlier, allowing yourself to be inspired by that person. Like, okay, if that guy can do it or that person's doing it, I'm going to do it. I'm going to replicate what they're doing. That's the perspective that people need to have.
Yeah. And that's the work that starts like within, right? That's what starts like like working on your mind and growth mindset and understanding that, you know, your time will come and all these successful people shouldn't intimidate you. Like you said, you know, it should be like a inspiration, a stepping stone to where you want to be.
100%. Growth mindset is huge.
Well, it's one of the biggest things that I've learned, like hanging out with people like you or listening to podcasts like Ed Milet and Natty Frisella and them, is that you start to feel like you're a little bit on top of the world, and then you know, I'm talking for myself. I started kind of like making more than my sphere of influence, and I started becoming a little more financially free and being able to do all these things. And I started to slowly feel better about myself. Then you start to listen to people like Ed Milet or Bradley and them, and they're talking millions, right? I just invested $2 million in here, and I'm like, damn.
Well, you said
it humbles you, you know?
You said this earlier about like finding a higher room. Like, anyone listening to this can find a higher room and elevate yourself with a growth mindset. I mean, think about, we can go listen to any podcast right now. Like, how many podcasts out there are there? They're just incredible with
Millions.
Ed Milet, Tom Billy, you, like all these, you know, Tim Ferriss. There's so much good information out there. And then reading books like Audible. There's just ways where you can level up your mindset, to have that growth mindset. That's huge for all of us. And like this day and age, it's so easy to get that information. And so staying in that growth mindset is huge for everybody, no matter where you are. Whether you feel like you've made it or you're just starting, like staying in that growth mindset and always learning is just huge. You just have to move forward. I always got to be progressing. And I think for me, like in college, I learned, that's where I started to read books. I'd say that was another huge thing for me. Like if I'm going to say like I am where I am today, a big part of it is because of the books that I've read throughout my career. I think it's been massive. Like,
well, many successful people, right? They say that their reason for it is because the books.
Dude, books are so powerful. Audible, whatever, you know.
What's your favorite book? For salespeople.
I might give you like a few.
Yeah, a few. Just you know, your favorites.
I love Atomic Habits by James Clear. I mean, I love that book. There's just so much. There's so much in there. James Clear is great. I also love Ryan Holiday. I don't know if you guys have read
Stoic.
Stoicism. So he's written several books. His most recent book is Discipline is Destiny, but I love The Obstacle is the Way. That's a great book. And then I'd say most recently I read a book called It Takes What It Takes by Trevor Moawad. That one's a great book. Great book. Yeah, especially for sales, or if you're just like looking to take it to the next level, be ambitious and take a risk, you should read that book for sure. Yeah.
All right. So, you know, future looks bright. You know, a lot of things that you were saying, you know, I feel like it's definitely going to attract a lot of people. You know, like solar has never been, like it's not like a new wave, right? We've always kind of been looking for different ways to conserve energy and use that as power. But just to play kind of devil's advocate, so if I'm a new recruit trying to join Sunrun, but in the back of my mind I'm thinking of NEM3 that just came on board of the new year. Tell me a little bit about what challenges that's going to bring, but how there's still massive opportunity.
Yeah, definitely. NEM3 is going to be something that you'll hear a lot of people talking about from now until April, and even after that. But it's going to change stuff. It's going to be an absolute headwind to the industry. I think it's just going to be a change. The biggest change that's going to happen is going to be in batteries. So Sunrun specifically, I know we have a plan. I know that this is something we've been talking about for about a year, and so I'm hearing some people and even companies kind of scrambling right now, oh shit, this actually passed. What are we going to do? Batteries is going to be a massive opportunity. And so every time you have something like this, you have an obstacle or a headwind, there's usually a pretty big opportunity in that. And so I think that's batteries. I think that batteries are not just the future, they add so much value to people. And I think that we'll see that. This is kind of a way of really pushing that in a big way where, right now we probably have 15% battery adoption. It's out there. I think people want it, but I think we haven't really gone all in on batteries. And I think once we do, we'll see the value of it and see just the customer experience is going to be different. And so I don't doubt for a second, I have zero doubt that the company will continue to grow at 20% this year, despite NEM3.
So, it's important for people to understand that if you are already in the solar business, if you're looking to get into the solar business, it's really important to come to a company that's already prepared for this, right? That isn't just right now oh shit, this actually went through. We were hoping it didn't.
Yeah.
It's more of what?
Yeah, their moves
we
ahead.
knew the whole time,
They're
right?
prepared.
Well, think about if you're going to go into a storm and you're looking at these storm clouds coming and you have the choice to be on a small boat or a really big boat that's prepared for the storm, right? That's the way I see Sunrun. Boom. Yeah, man, storm clouds, but we'll be fine. Yeah, I'm excited. I think it's just an opportunity to grow.
Are you hiring?
Yeah, always. Yeah.
But can we go into more details of how that affects the everyday homeowner that wants to get solar in 2023?
Yeah, I'll say this. So if you're a homeowner, you would absolutely want to go solar before NEM3. NEM2 is more advantageous than NEM3. Just like NEM1 was better than NEM2, it's going to be similar.
So you have 7 days, guys.
Yeah.
No, it goes into effect till April.
It's April?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I think that's something you need to share that.
Yeah, it's not until April. We have time. We have several months. But I also think it's important to understand, it's not the end of the world. It's not doomsday if you don't go solar until after then. It's just going to be, you're going to have a battery, which is going to add costs to your service plan. So yeah, knowing that, it could be a good thing. I think a lot of people want battery now. It's it's going to be the same thing pretty much.
So
right?
if you were already planning on getting a battery, or getting a battery is not oh my God, I need a battery. It's yeah, cool. And you knew that was your plan all along, then nothing really changes, right?
Nothing huge.
Essentially,
there are little details, right? It definitely matters how you use power still. On NEM3, you got to be smart about how you're using power. It matters how the system is designed, right? You want to make sure that your representative knows how to design that system once you have NEM3.
And that's something you guys teach your salespeople?
Yeah, that's something that we are definitely teaching our salespeople. You just have to, the sales rep needs to be more educated selling a solar product under NEM3 than right now. It's you could get away with putting the panels anywhere, not with NEM3. You got to be smart about where you're putting the panels, and also educating consumers on the consequences of how they use their power. They need to understand that.
So then, is it more important than ever for NEM3 to have a very accurate usage in order? And you said the placement of the panels as well.
Yeah, the accurate usage is important. Placement of the panels is important, and then just how they use solar. Once they go active on NEM3, how they use power matters. Yeah.
Now going again, like Adrian said, being devil's advocate here is, what's the advantage of still going solar then if you still have to be careful with how you use your power?
The obvious one's savings. Yeah, you still have massive savings. Despite NEM3, if you're to say what's better, stay with PG&E or go solar, it's obviously solar. Solar plus storage. So yeah, you're still, someone may still experience, let's say, a true up bill of $500, $600. If you were to do apples to apples, what they would have paid with PG&E versus what they would pay with the solar plus storage, it's not even close.
Yeah.
I mean, we have to understand PG&E is still going to go up this year, right? Like, what is it? They're set to go up this year, the next couple of years, 22%.
22%.
That right there is going to offset any costs, people would pick up with an M3, for example. And that's 1 year. And so, yeah, it's still going to be a very
So it's just going to be an adoption, right?
Yeah.
It's like anything. I think I can use a great example, and then we'll get into your investments and stuff like that, unless Adrian has any other questions. But, like interest rates, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Interest rates within a month doubled.
Yeah,
Right.
right.
It was crazy.
Yep.
So what happened once that happened? For like 2 months, everybody was like with their foot on the brake, saying, "No, I'm gonna wait. I'm gonna let Sterling mess this up first,
Yeah,
and then after
right.
he messes up, then maybe." And then they saw, well, Sterling didn't mess up. He kept investing, and it worked out, right? And then so now people are getting back in the groove of it, saying, "Okay, cool. This is the new norm, right?
Yep.
This is the new norm." So I think that's what it's going to take is for NEM3 to just be the new norm, which is going to be. It's inevitable, right?
There's a great book. It's called Who Moved My Cheese? And it just talks about like dealing with change. Like if you really struggle dealing with change, you're going to have a hard time, right? Like that's just the way the industry is things are always changing. You have to adapt, but we'll be fine. I think you'll have some people that are like, I hate change. I'm panicking, whatever. It's like, it's really not going to be that big of a deal. But again, mindset, right? How are you interpreting this situation? Because you could talk to one person that's like, "Hey, man, I got 4 months and I'm out."
Yeah.
And the other one's like excited, genuinely excited with the challenge.
Well, because that's exciting, right? You're going to be out. Awesome.
Well, and there's an opportunity. Like, who's to say this doesn't actually propel the industry?
Yeah.
Because, I mean, when people start getting these batteries and they're like recommending solar more because they're having a better experience with the storage, right? So there's just opportunities there.
Well, I think that's one big thing, though, that right now, we have those. I think you can correct me if I'm wrong, but you have those reps that you can tell from day one they're going to be around for a while. From as simple as their sales pitch to their close. If they're pitching savings, I'm going to save you money and we're cheaper and this cost per kilowatt, whatever. They're the ones that are going to struggle now, right?
Yeah.
Because their pitch has always been savings. When you go and you talk to a person like, for example, Matt or Jeff, and you listen to their pitch and close, I don't think they bring up the word savings almost at all, right? I've never gone with you, but I'm sure it's the same thing. So I myself tried to adapt those habits of like, I'm not here to save you money very much. Like, you're going to do it in the process, but that's not why I'm here.
Yeah.
I'm here for X, Y, and Z, right? And you explain all the other benefits of it. So now if you kind of barely even tweak your pitch, you're ready for NEM3.
Yeah.
Right?
Right.
Versus those that have been like, yeah, but we're 20 cents cheaper than your utility and blah, 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 blah. And then you go that route. Now you're going to struggle with it because, well, I've always been the guy that's just saving people money.
Yeah, that's a really good perspective. I think sometimes we get caught up in just like the price. We obsess over the price. Like, we think that's the only value here, right? And so I think you got to be careful with that. That's
as a new rep. Just a question along the lines. As a new rep, when you were just starting to do solar, did you ever come across an account that was like, hey, I got a quote from, Sun Solar or whatever solar company, and theirs is like $2,000 cheaper if they were buying, right? For example, if they were buying the system, or let's talk kilowatts, right? Or they're 2 cents cheaper, whatever. And you went and gave them the discount to match the other price, and they still didn't work with you. Did you ever have any situations like
I've
that?
lost so many accounts. I mean, I've had,
So the reason that I bring that up,
canceled. I'm sure that's happened.
you're probably thinking like, what is this question leading? What I'm getting at though is that when you get into a bidding war, even if you win the bid, you still lose the deal.
Yeah.
Like that usually will happen.
When you make it about price, and you're like, oh, that's the price. All right, let me see what I can do with that. Sharpen my pen. See what we can do over here. That usually doesn't end well.
Again, like I can't emphasize that enough. If you get into a bidding war and you win the bid, you're more than likely still going to lose the deal because you made it about price.
It's not about money. Yeah, people aren't buying because of that most of the time, right? Most of the time, They're going to go with the person they like more.
Yeah,
Simple as that.
you didn't get outpriced. You got outvalued.
Yeah, you got outvalued, or you just didn't make a connection as well as the other person did, right? So making a human connection is everything. Because so many times, I mean, how many times have you had a job where you were the higher price and you still got the deal?
Yeah,
all the time,
yeah.
right?
And
that's
the
because
customer
they
will
like you.
acknowledge it, right?
Yeah.
They'll tell you,
They'll
like,
tell you,
hey, you're not the cheapest,
I
but
had another couple of bids that were cheaper, but we really like you. We're gonna go with you. It happens all the time.
if you can hook me up or not. I can't.
No, sorry, man. Nope.
You like me that much?
Let's find out if you really like me.
So, what are the plans for you, Stir? What's your plans? I know you're heavily invested into real estate and stock market, and you said you're a syndication investor as well, and then venture capitalist. I think if we got our research done correctly, that's kind of like when you and a group of people invest into
like a pool of money right into a venture.
Yeah, like a business.
you fund a project pretty much.
Exactly.
Cool.
Yeah.
So you're into all of that now. You have a question?
Yeah. So before we go away from solar, last question. As someone who's kind of looking to join or anybody,
We're not hiring, bro. Sorry.
hey, there's an interview process, bro. Let's follow the rules before I tell HR. No, but I don't know. I guess my question is, would you say Bakersfield is like is there still opportunity to tap in, or does 80% of Bakersfield already have solar? Like kind of recruit me, bro.
Yeah, I will. Yeah.
The number's gonna trip you out.
I'll tell you the numbers right now. So in California, just speaking California, there's 25 offices, 26 offices. Bakersfield is the third highest installing office, and usually is in the top 3 from like the last 10 years. So hey, there we go. Hey, clap it out. Yes, I love this. But yeah, so that should say something, right? Like this is a very good market, and it has been for a very long time.
Good market, good team,
good market.
We have this to lead us.
No, man, I'm telling you, it really is though. Like when you look at the population, the size of this city, and all the little cities around here too. It's the same thing. It's just kind of like a small town still, and so people talk. If you can provide a good service and a product, people are going to talk. They'll share that with people, and I think that's a massive advantage that we have here in Bakersfield. Also, if you look at the adoption curve, I mean, we're still at that tipping point, right? It's like we don't have the early majority of people that have gone solar yet, or the late majority. And so, like, if I'm someone that's looking at this thinking, could I be here for 10 years and take advantage of this opportunity? Absolutely, yes. Just look at the curve. Like, just look at the numbers. And so you have a lot of like innovators, early adopters that have gone solar, but right now you're going to start to see the early majority of people are going to be going solar. So massive opportunity, like right now, specifically right now. I mean, if you were to say the best time in the history of the solar industry to sell is going to be right now until April. Like right now, this is going to be the best time ever to sell solar. If you can,
want an application?
if you can partner with a team that's thriving and having success and a market that's good, I mean, you've kind of struck gold. You know what I mean? And so financially, I'm really excited to see what our sales team does. We have about 75, 80 salespeople. I can't wait to see what Bakersfield does this Q1. I think it's the last 2 quarters, the team has broken their all-time record, the highest installs they've ever done. The other day I got an email. So at last quarter we did 400. I think we've already done like 415 installs. We'll finish at 450 in this quarter, which is like with Thanksgiving, Christmas. Next quarter will be over 500 installs. So it's a massive, massive opportunity right now. And even again, after NEM 3, I will still continue to grow at that 20-25%. And so, yeah, I'm just like, I'm bullish. On the industry. I really am on the industry and on solar in general for the next long term.
Now, I think part of his question was asking like how big is the opportunity in regards to like what percentage of homes already have solar locally?
Yeah,
It was like 13, right?
if you were to say Bakersfield, it's you're probably in that like 20 to 25% range.
Okay.
Yeah.
So there's 75% opportunity, guys.
There's massive opportunity. I mean, what's the population of Bakersfield? 600,000, 500,000?
Well, yeah, there's like 75% of homes don't have solar, and there's still homes that have a true up, right? That maybe need an additional, because all these new construction homes, for example, they're all getting put just like a very limited amount, right?
That's
of,
right.
Of solar.
Yeah, just because
407,000.
407,000. So yeah, just because someone has solar doesn't mean you can't add more solar panels and,
Exactly.
and batteries and stuff like that. So
And
yeah,
I guess just like a personal question though. Why would I know California is big on solar and conserving energy. That's why they passed a bill right for every new construction home to have solar.
yeah,
But isn't like NEM 3 kind of like
counterintuitive.
yes. Like doesn't that sabotage you guys a little bit or
Yeah, it wasn't-
or do you think like PG&E is like behind all those moves?
Yeah, it
Conspiracy, I
is
guess.
interesting because you're like, here's the state saying you have to go solar, and then yet they want to tax the crap out of you when you go solar. Right? That's it's a money grab.
But that's
right?
a California thing, I guess.
It's a California thing. It's a money grab, and then also, you have to understand the energy industry with utilities is massive. It's a huge industry, and these companies have a lot of money, like PG&E, San Diego, SCE, and they have lobbyists and they spend a lot of money on this kind of stuff. And so, when you have an industry spending $40 million lobbying for this versus the solar industry who's lobbying maybe $4 million, right? That has an impact on the result. So that in my opinion, that's why we are where we are right now. But money grab for sure. I think California also knows that batteries are really going to help the overall industry, not just solar industry, but the just energy industry. I mean, if we can store power, it really fights back that duck curve with energy when you have these spikes during the day.
Yeah.
And so batteries are a massive solution. And I think, these people are smart and they understand that this is going to be something that happens.
And it should,
Very, very vital.
and it should help with like,
Blackouts and stuff too.
yeah, it should
Right?
help with
Blackouts,
because
solar
now,
blackouts.
because if I'm not mistaken, the reason we had so many power outages and stuff was because the grid was overpowered, right? It was so then
Overpowered and
not overpowered, but
Overstressed or whatever.
Yeah.
depending on the location. Most of these power outages now are just because utilities don't want to take the risk of when it's windy. They don't want to take the risk of a power line falling and causing a fire. Because you saw 2017 and 18, all these lawsuits with these fires. Now the utility is being way more proactive.
I actually saw something like a director of PG&E or something saying that they're going to start going underground.
Yeah.
That they're going to take down.
They're sending out like commercials right now about this whole movement, which they should, right? Smart.
Yeah.
I mean, because we're dealing with an infrastructure that's like 100 years old. It's only a matter of time, right?
Yeah. So, as I was going with earlier, unless you get on the solar questions, Adrian.
Yeah, I'm good. I'm good grilling him. I think he convinced me.
So, what's next for you in regards to like I'm pretty sure you're ready to retire if you needed to today.
No, not even close, man. Not even close.
Stop it.
No, like I'm saying, what's next for you financially? Is that what you're asking?
Just in general, like
No,
where do
like
you 5-year plan? Let's just say.
Your journey. Yeah. What's next?
Yeah, no, I love. I just want to continue to build here with Sunrun. Like I believe this will be the last place that I work because I have to work. If I work after Sunrun, it'll be something that I just want to do. Right? It'll be somewhere I want to spend my time. But yeah, I love Sunrun. I love the people I work with. Some of my best friends are in the company, and so I don't have any plans to leave. I don't have like a, hey, 5 years and I'm out, 7 years and I'm out. I don't have that. I'm focused more on just what I'm building. So right now I'm a sales director and I have a region. So in my region I have 5 offices. So my focus is just growing the business in these 5 offices, trying to add value. So
Gotcha.
that's kind of what I'm excited about right now.
Well, as I told you earlier, if you ever need a companion or an assistant to go down to Hawaii,
Yeah. If you want to join me,
just babe, I'm going on a business trip. I'm sorry.
Sterling's making me go to
He
Hawaii.
said if I can't go with them, I get fired. So
I recently picked up a Wahoo. Matt Hines is out there, and I'm excited about that. That's going to be a challenge to grow that market, and I'm excited about it. But just overall, just growing leaders and developing people is like, if you were to say, what are you really excited about? That's it. I just want to develop people. I want to grow leaders.
now I know you have an Instagram. Do you get on it often?
Not really. I'm not a big social media guy. Like, if I go on a trip or something, like sometimes I'll post or whatever, but my wife, we have 4 kids, and she'll like post a lot, like with our family, what's going on with our kids, and that's how a lot of people keep up with our families. They'll just follow my wife.
So I was gonna say I'm gonna have to go follow your wife.
Yeah,
man,
dude, you
'cause
gotta follow my wife. She's the one that's like posting stuff.
I do notice that Stir just
Yeah.
posts like once a quarter or once
Yeah,
half a year.
Yeah, I'm not like I actually years ago, Taylor Turnbull, he's our VP.
Mm-hmm.
He came to our office and he challenged everybody. He's like, if you look at your phone and look at how much time you're spending on social media, it's kind of like it's surprising.
Yeah.
He deleted his stuff,
He
right?
challenged everyone. He said, "Hey, look, if you want to like just be more productive, go ahead and delete Instagram." And I remember I just did it right there. I was like, I don't need this. I'll just delete it. So I deleted. And I remember the first week I was like, I'd get on my phone to get on Instagram and be like, oh yeah, I don't have it. Just out of habit.
Yeah.
And so it was kind of hard at first, but then you realize like, I really don't need this. I really don't need, it's not like something that's making me more productive.
Well, right now that we're on the social media
Yeah,
topic,
that's what I was gonna ask.
you know, back when you started door knocking, social media wasn't as big as it is now in regards to like publicity, right? To
Right.
for businesses and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Being how big it's gotten and how many people are blowing up because of social media, do you think that it's more effective than door knocking, or is
Well,
door knocking still
there's-
the most effective sales strategy?
Absolutely a lot of opportunity there. So I guess to clarify, like when you're using social media as a business, very smart. Very, very smart. As a leisurely, like bad habit, I'm always on Instagram. That's like kind of what Taylor was talking
Yeah.
about. But I think there's for our team, speaking for our team, we specialize in going directly to the home. That's what we teach. We teach people to go to the door, to pitch, have a conversation, make the sell. I'd say 90% of our volume is that. 10% is networking / social media. There's absolutely some massive opportunities to capture market volume in those strategies. We just find it more effective to just go directly to the home.
Yeah. You got anything else for him, Adrian?
No, sorry, I was kind of just zoned in. I don't know.
Zoned in or
I mean,
zoned out? No,
I
I'm kidding.
think.
Just kidding.
Well, the reason I asked about your social media initially was like if anyone wanted to get in contact with you in regards to coming onto the team, but
Yeah.
they can just reach out to myself, or know, if you want to.
They can hit me up. Hey, I'll go check the old Instagram.
What's your Instagram?
Oh man, what is it?
I think it's Stir Hills,
Yeah,
right?
we know it, bro. We know
Stir
it.
Hills.
Hills.
Stir Hills.
Check out Stir Hills.
I'm not gonna lie to you right now. When I was zoned in, I was literally like envisioning myself door knocking and like all these fucking objections, all these objections that would
All
happen.
stressed out over there.
Yeah,
he hasn't even talked.
you're knocked yet, just staring at him.
That's
Well, that's awesome, man. It was great to have you on here, Stir. You're such an inspiration to a lot of us. One of the most humble people I've ever met, and I don't like the word humble, to be honest with you. I think if you're someone like yourself, you should be. You should kind of like I am him.
Yeah.
But I understand your aspect of it too, and I love that about you. I think I've met people much less successful than yourself, and they think they're on top of the world.
Yeah.
So I love being around you, and it just in general, man, you bring a really good attitude and a really good positive energy to the room, every room you're in. And so I'm glad you were able to make some time for us today.
Yeah, I appreciate it. Thank you for having me on. And likewise. And congrats on all your success. Talking about someone that's been successful this last year. Edgar's made some noise.
Yeah, we all know he likes to toot his own horn a lot.
I'm just gonna say
The
people
podcast-
people know Edgar.
The podcast
now.
is tired of that already. We want to bring people like yourself. Yeah,
No, but it wouldn't have happened without leadership like you guys.
Yeah.
So I luckily, not luckily, it took hard work, and I think I like to say I'm the luckiest person in the world, because through my relationships, Justo took him a long time to get me to come on the team, and I think it all happens for a reason. Looking back, I wish I would have started 3 years ago when he hit me up initially. Well, 5 years ago, because I've been on almost a bit. Anyway, so. But regardless of the fact that my wife realized this at the Christmas party, she's like, "Dude, like this vibe is just awesome. Like everyone's just kind of like helping each other. Everyone wants to kind of like push each other to be better.
Yeah.
You go to other events, even Christmas events, when you would expect everybody to be lovable. There's all this envy, and there's like people just kind of like looking at each other. We look what he's wearing, look what she's wearing, and just the vibe around people like yourself or people like us at the office. And it all starts with our leader, right? So I have a lot to praise for you.
I think it is. It's special. And I always realize that when you have a new person come on. Like the other day, we had a guy in our meeting, and he was talking about how grateful he was just to be a part of a group that was like, all of us are striving to get better together and just to like have a real like team atmosphere. And you take that kind of stuff for granted when you're on the team. Yeah. But I love the culture we have. And just like seeing guys like you, just like how you've leveled up this year has been so awesome. I'm excited for next year, see what you can do, see if you can keep growing.
We'll see what we can make happen. Yeah, no, it was great having you, sir. Appreciate your time.
Thanks, you guys. I appreciate it.
Thank you.
Let's jam out.